Yo, welcome to the Inconclusive Show.
In this show, we talk about the things we want to talk about.
We're just three lifelong friends.
Brought up in three different ways.
With three different perspectives.
Three different perspectives.
Three different perspectives.
This is our show.
So stay tuned.
All right. Welcome back to the Inconclusive Show, episode 11, after a week hiatus. How was your guys' vacation?
It was well needed, well rejuvenating. It made me feel better. What about you, Des?
It was pretty eventful. We'll get into other stuff later, but it was nice.
Okay.
It was a busy week. I can imagine it was a busy week
for
Yeah.
us.
moving out and all. Well, we're back. We're excited. We have new material. We have a new setup that we're excited to try in this episode.
New setup.
New setup. So our first segment will be the news. I want to talk about some local stuff that doesn't really affect any of us at this point, but it hits close to home. Sacramento Unified School District is deciding whether or not to end a $600,000 contract with the police.
Thoughts? What's your thoughts, guys?
Well, Eric, go first.
My thoughts, I love it. I mean, having gone to a Sacramento Unified School District in McClatchy and having those like police cars parked around for no reason, I mean, that's huge. $600,000 can go towards, anything else, you know? I mean, to me, that's huge. I think it's great. I didn't do anything anyway. Right?
I hope not.
It seemed unnecessary. So
Yeah.
instead of using the police from now on, they're going to be using like local, local security, community security type
Are they going to
things.
be armed?
No.
Okay.
I hope not. No. Community security? I
No,
don't think
because
They have security guards that carry firearms.
Yeah.
So it's possible. I was thinking the same
they
thing.
do.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to be armed on campus. I mean, they just got rid of the police. So why would they put even less trained armed people
that's
on
true.
campus?
But you do have school shootings, and
You do.
and how would someone respond to?
But that's the thing. Like, having gone to McClatchy, right? Those police officers, I never saw any police officers. All I saw was police cars, and no one was in those police cars. So I feel like they were just putting police cars there, like, every once in a while and leaving the campus. So either way, like, they're going to have to call the police. I understand, like, McClatchy's in a good neighborhood.
But you never went. You never
but
went
in
to the
those rougher-
office because they're always there in the office.
Yeah, I've been there.
Wait, what? You didn't? Are you talking about
I'm
McClatchy?
not- I'm
Yeah,
talking about
McClatchy.
in general. Like,
Officers in
They don't
general,
just
yeah,
sit
officers
in their
in general.
cars. They have offices in the high school.
Yeah, they do.
Okay, so I didn't know that. I had no clue that was a thing.
Because Arnett got in trouble last
So,
week. He knew the officers by name.
Arnett
I'm
did?
just playing. I don't know.
Well, I've never heard this. Oh, okay. I was like, what? So police officers have. Okay, so I didn't know that the police officers had offices in
yeah.
the building.
Yeah, they do.
I didn't know about this. So I don't know. Sacramento has not had one school shooting.
Fingers
I don't
crossed, because we don't want that.
Fingers crossed. Knock on wood.
There's
So
been
I don't
bomb
know.
threats.
I mean,
there has been
in those
bomb threats.
situations, it doesn't seem like in those situations they're handled by the police anyway. They're handled by like. I mean, you have to call the police anyway.
Who had
You know
a
what I
bomb
mean?
threat?
Oh, McClatchy.
There was a bomb threat at McClatchy,
Yeah.
but it was just.
But that's a
there was an
'90s
empty-
kids
or-
game. That's a '90s kids game. We're in the 2000s now. They just shoot each other up. But
Yeah,
it was just one of
it
those
wasn't
playful. I'm trying to
serious.
get out of Spanish class things.
No,
'Cause
no,
I knew
no.
the guy who did
They-
it.
what-
I knew the guy who did
oh,
it.
okay, never mind.
So it was just.
He
one
said
of those
I knew the guy who did it.
Yeah, no, he told me. He told me
It was a
about
guitar
my
case,
uncle.
though. It was a guitar case.
I really just didn't want to take a test. That's what it was. It was all because
Wow.
he didn't want to take a test, and it was funny. So I was like, wow. But it was when you know the person who did it, it's different, because it was more like one of those funny things. Like Not really funny.
It's never funny.
It's never funny,
disagree.
but what I mean
think bomb
is-
threats aren't funny.
But what I mean is, it's like
That's
something you see in
scary.
a movie. It's something you see in a movie that's been played and been fantasized
Yeah.
about. So I believe it's something that became something that we did. I've never seen
think
a
it's-
school shooting fantasized in Hollywood, so I don't see it being
I
the
hope
same
not,
thing.
because that's a serious shit.
Yeah, it's a different line between
I've never even
talking
seen.
and
Honestly, I've
doing.
never even seen a bomb threat fantasized in movies.
Yeah, it
bomb
has
threats
been.
are. Name this movie.
I would probably be
I've seen like
maybe
people
Wayne's
pull, like-
World or like something like that, like something that has Michael Myers in it.
I can imagine pulling the like fire alarm, but not a bomb threat.
Yeah, no,
Be
they
like, hey,
they
there's
did
a
bomb
bomb
threats too.
outside.
Did I drop some money?
I've never
bomb threats
seen
as
a
well.
bomb threat in any kind of movie other than like a action movie or.
Like where it's an actual
Yeah.
bomb threat. Where are you getting your information, Arnett? What are these movies with funny bomb threats? Well, I think that's a good thing. Police don't need to be on school campuses. I mean, they can be. They can visit. But I don't think it's a necessary thing. Moving on.
Couple thousand.
I kind of want to talk about
Make me feel
COVID
good.
and how it's
Nothing.
how it's been moving. So far there are over 500 deaths worldwide,
500 or
130
500,000?
500,000 worldwide, and over 130,000 in the U.S. And even so, more people are going out.
There's
You
like
know.
why? They
Why?
clearly don't.
That is
They
a-
clearly
that's a-
don't believe in science, and they think it's a hoax. And they don't,
But it's so attractive.
what's attractive?
I'm sorry, yeah.
Because everything's opening up out here in California.
It's enticing.
There's so many
It's
things that are opening
definitely
up.
enticing.
It's enticing. It's like even I've fallen for it. I'm like, things are getting bad, but let's go eat at a restaurant.
Yeah, and
You know?
spread the. Well, at least you're not moving to Arizona where people don't even wear masks and shit.
But they do have
Arizona doesn't even.
they have a certain
feel
level
like-
to it though. Like they say the extreme stuff to the stuff that's less extreme. Like very extreme would be like going to a gym, and then not so extreme would be like talking to a neighbor.
Right, but I'm talking about like I haven't gone to the gym, but I mean just people going out in general, going to like I went downtown last Friday, and there was like it was basically like a party, like the last few times I've been downtown on Friday nights, Saturday nights, it's been dead, but since everything's been opening up, even some bars were open for a while. People were just going out, and we're having spikes.
Eric,
and
you might want to get
it's
tested.
hard to.
I'm
I'm
just
fine.
saying.
I'm fine. I haven't gone to bars or anything. I'm saying that people are. I just went out. I wasn't near anyone. I went out to like get some drone pictures.
Oh, okay.
So I wasn't near
But
anyone.
still, get tested.
But I was just. No. I feel like I've already been affected, most likely. but yeah. So like everyone's going out. You have all this. You have the spike. I feel like everything's just going to close back up soon. I think they're even talking about it. And we're just going to be back in the same place where we were last month or 2 months ago when we were just all at home and everybody had corona. This is all crazy to me.
Yeah, because the curve isn't flattening anymore, so it's going in the opposite direction, like you were saying. So yeah, I really see
going up.
this reopening being like premature, and but it's so
Very.
enticing with places like Vegas opening up and Florida opening up, all these nice places
Mm-hmm.
opening up, these beach sides opening up all throughout
No,
California.
it's
So it
not.
really is
I-
difficult.
it's a. How did they say
It's-
it in Star Wars? It's a trap.
Well, you got to remember this. But you got to
It's a-
remember this. There's a lot of people who, throughout the years, have never been able to go on vacation. These places are opening up for the first time. They're getting money that's sustainable. So, of course, they're going to want
Okay,
and
but
live a
I'm
little
willing
bit
to
before they
forego
go
a
back and be
vacation if that
trapped
means
into somewhere they
saving
don't need
other
to be.
people's lives and myself.
No one.
Yeah, but you have to remember that, like, for me, I went on a road trip, but I didn't go near anyone, right? So I stayed in my car, I stayed in a hotel, and then I got back in my car and drove to certain locations, but I wasn't like around people. And I feel like traveling that way is not what's spreading it. I think what's spreading it is like people going to restaurants and going to the beaches, just where places where it's there's huge crowds that you can't that's unavoidable to come in contact with people. You know, it's unavoidable to be on a beach and someone sneezes and their germs go down breeze. You know what I mean? Especially since people don't, you're not going to wear a mask on the beach when you're chilling. You know, so I think those type of places is just, and there's statistics, but I don't feel like going into that.
Please don't.
There's so many like, it's like, well, this is why. Well, that's not why. Well, we can't believe that. We can't believe this. We can't. Let's just try to avoid each other and not get each other sick and save lives, even if it is all a hoax. Let's try to put some faith in our government,
Please.
and the people that give us information.
Yeah,
Well, I don't
the
know.
media.
Even though
Yeah.
I've been going around, every person I come in contact with, or every person I talk to, and I'm like, hey, do you know anyone with coronavirus? I get the same answer. No, but I heard of somebody. No, do you know of somebody directly? Like your sister's best friend, like your sister's best friend Tracy. Do you know that person?
Well,
How do you know my sister's best friend named Tracy?
yeah, I actually know somebody.
I don't know.
I know somebody who got it and he just passed away from it. It's my uncle. One of my uncles passed
So
away.
you actually know somebody who did it, who has it.
Yeah. My mom will be attending his funeral next week. So yeah.
Well, Arnett, you're
Was
the
it
first.
just? Was
And I'm sorry to hear that.
Sorry to hear that, Arnett. I just want to ask:
I'm sorry to hear that.
Was it just from Corona, or did he have like any other pre-existing medical circumstances going on?
Pre-existing as well, but it was definitely not that did it.
Okay.
It was definitely the corona that pushed it over because he was doing just fine prior to all
How
this
did
stuff. But he caught something.
Do they know how he caught it?
I'm not fully sure. I honestly could not tell you because they probably weren't there when he got it. But I think he was traveling, or I'm not sure what he was doing exactly. But yeah, he's gone now. And it was a really big blow to the family because he's really like the pride and joy, very enjoyable uncle. Everyone loves him. He's very life of the party, does for everybody. If he has money in his pocket, he's going to give it to others. So, yeah.
Wow, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's very touching.
Yeah,
it's
sorry to
very,
hear that.
Close and endearing. So, but yeah.
And you're the first person that I know. You're the first person I've asked that's been like, my uncle.
I wish I wasn't. But yeah.
Yeah. But okay, so my theory, coronavirus, theory that no one is actually infected has been thrown out. No one is actually affected except for celebrities and people who are well known. Can be thrown out the window. So that will bring us. We're gonna go a little dark here. Not dark. It's news, sad news. Kind of on the line that Arnett just was on, but.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about, oh man, I didn't even look up how to pronounce her name. I'm sorry if I butcher this. Vanessa
Guillen?
Guillen?
Yeah.
Guillen.
Wait, don't you?
Vanessa Guillen.
Okay, I just got a little side note. Don't you like, if it's a double L, don't you make sure to say the L? Like, wouldn't it be?
That's
I'm
what
just
I
asking.
did. I said
No,
it.
No, I'm just asking in general because with the English language we get a whole lot of crazy stuff sometimes. All right,
I think
go ahead.
so. But Miss Vanessa G. That's what I just said.
So Guillen.
Yeah.
Got you.
So Vanessa Guillen was a woman in the Army, and she went missing on April 22nd. So I guess she had filed, or she had. There were reports of her being sexually harassed. Um, she was found months later, I think a day or two ago
Yeah.
from today, um, in a shallow grave, and the reports came back that she was bludgeoned to death by a hammer in an armory room where she worked. The main suspect, after detectives questioned him, committed suicide. Second suspect was arrested and is in jail. Whew,
Yeah. That's
sad stuff. And that's the Arnett. I know you found some more stuff and
yeah.
definitely
Okay, so I do want
put
to.
some stuff on there.
Yeah, I want to throw a couple things on there. For one, so the I guess you would say the person who was sexually harassed and killed Vanessa Guillen. She was what was it? Found in shallow
Suspected.
suspected found in shallow grave in Texas, encased in cement. Right. That's what happened to her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
I think it was a case in cement. Yeah, that's what I read. Yeah.
encased in cement. Yes, correct. Yeah, the one suspect that we did hear about that killed himself. He was a couple miles outside the town or outside the army base, and they I guess did a line of questioning there, and he decided to take his own life, which that sounds kind
Yeah.
of he's
Suspicious.
suspicious, yeah. But then there was another person who's been taken into custody just recently,
A woman.
yeah, a woman who was an estranged wife of a former soldier from Fort Hood. So the story goes
From the same base where most of this took place.
yes. So the story goes that I guess the spouse, the wife of or the ex-wife of one of the army members there possibly had a relationship
Or an affair.
with the pronounced or now deceased woman as Vanessa Guillen. And
Wait, no. Wait, really?
yes, that's
No. I think wasn't it? So we might have different information here. I read
Okay.
that the main suspect, the one that killed himself, was in a relationship with the second suspect, the woman who is now under arrest.
interesting.
And I didn't see, for me, that was a hole within itself, because I was like, what does Vanessa Guillen have to do with this?
Yeah.
You know, in the story I read, it said that she threatened to basically out him about him being in a relationship with a married woman.
Mm.
So, but it might be different. I mean,
So
I
the
think
Devil's
the story
Triangle.
is pretty fresh.
So the Devil's Triangle.
Yeah.
So but why would the man off himself? And why was he left alone with the police officers who questioned them and didn't bring him back to the station? He was
Well, I think they brought him back to the station. They questioned him, then he killed himself once he was released.
interesting.
Is what it sounded like.
But why would they
Like,
release him?
yeah,
That's the thing. Why would they release him if he was on if he was a suspect? And I mean, of course they can release you, but if you've said your piece and then they feel there's something suspicious to it, can't they legally contain you? If they feel you're
It seems like they would be able to, but I think one of the main things that made them suspect him was the fact that he killed himself.
yeah, which kind of was
So
like
it wasn't until he killed himself that they thought, suspicious.
But-
you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it makes it an open and shut case, which just
It just makes the
screams.
whole armed service as a whole look bad.
It
that
makes me
this-
feel like it says "Scream, close
In
this
a way.
case." That's what it says to me. Scream, close this case. Like we got all the loose ends, we got everything to it. Now let us go back to business as usual.
Yeah.
Type of face, which is kind of what the military and college campuses are kind of known for. So that's why it's like to hear the story and how it flows and it makes it leaves some questions, but it kind of answers some bigger things. Like, okay, who we feel killed that person is dead now, so no more investigation. The investigation goes away.
So is this a theory of yours? You think they kind of made it made the narrative like that? They kind of led the narrative in a way.
I don't want to, because I have bogus evidence. I can only go off what's told here, but knowing off of how the military works, I wouldn't be shocked. But it sounds like an open and shut case, so it's like, can I really contest this? No, I'm not. I'm not a lawyer. I can't be well enough to combat or contest this. But it does sound like it has some holes in the story that we can very easily poke. Like,
So something I left out. Something I left out in the beginning was the reason why they. So like I said, the main suspect who killed himself, had someone help him dispose of the body, who they assumed. I don't know how they knew this, but they figured it was probably the woman he was having the affair with, or the woman he was having the relationship with.
Right.
So that's why she was in. She was arrested later. Let's move on. I think we'll come back to that.
we might have to leave
more,
that. We might have to leave that inconclusive. You saw what I did
But
there?
It's not a
that's
laughing
pretty-
matter, guys.
that was pretty clever,
Obviously
Arnett.
not. Obviously
It's
not. But
like you
it's
guys, you got okay, but like we're gonna have to come back to that because it's pretty fresh. I think they just found her like 2 days ago, so there's not a ton of information. So we might have to come back to that. Anyway, on to some world news and some news that's kind of weird. Beijing enacts an anti-protest law. If you're caught protesting, you could potentially spend a minimum of 3 years in prison. That's crazy as an American to hear.
Wait, say
Yeah.
that again?
Beijing enacts an anti-protest law where if you're caught protesting, you could potentially spend a minimum of 3 years in prison. That's crazy.
How does that make you feel?
Like, so, I mean, as an American, as someone who, as living in a country where that's freedom of speech, that's crazy to hear that Beijing can do that, Another thing is, what was it? Well, they made a few arrests recently, I think, within the last few days. I forgot what I was going to say. But yeah, that's insane to me. Oh, what I was going to say. Some of the other countries came in and they were like, hey, you can't do that, this and that. And Beijing kind of responded with, what does this have to do with you?
This is our country. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, get out of our business. We run things how we run things. This is us, So,
Well, my thoughts on it is, it's a different country. Like, obviously, we see it's immoral. We see it's not right. We see it's unjust. But to say that, because
the
obviously,
communists.
on a moral, I was gonna say on a moral standpoint, it's not right. But that's from me looking from my morals that I have that have been based from here. I wonder how people from there base their thinking around that. And since they're fighting for democracy, I would really like to hear somebody's story from that side. We could probably get that at a later date, but
That would be, yeah.
But I do think a lot of the protests, the protests that are going on in Beijing, not the actual ones, but what I mean is what's going on with them and their government is kind of happening on a more subliminal side here in America. For instance, we have people getting locked up here for peaceful protests. We've always had that. and that's kind of
I
a
was
way
yeah.
to shut people
I was thinking
up
that too.
because you're trying to economically bankrupt these people. If I lock you up enough
It's not
times,
so blatant.
yeah, if I lock you up enough
It's not
times,
so blatant,
you're not
but
going to want to do it.
same thing.
Which is a war tactic
Right.
that's spawned back to ages before, which is a war tactic of if I get rid of your resources, you can't build your army. So if I take away your soldiers' resources, they won't be able to continue coming out here, or they'll find a fear in themselves when it comes to an economic problem. So how we handle it as Americans is different than how they handle it, but it's the same type of suppression. Suppression is suppression is suppression. It's the same thing.
I just don't understand the basis in which they can make that law. Like, who are they just trying to shut up their citizens? Are they trying to like?
Yes, they are.
They're just like, hey, you guys shut up. We know what we're doing in a way.
Yeah, that's what it kind of is. I mean, you got to understand the Chinese government, the people who are in charge are billionaires. They're people, they're the elite class, kind of like what we have here. But even though they say they fight for
there's
this,
really
this,
not
this,
a
and
middle
that,
class.
there's no middle class.
What you're saying, there's not. Yeah.
But in China, it's literally just the same way. They don't have truly a middle class because you get paid like so. Business over there is owned by the government. So if you get a business that's big enough, that's great. But guess what? The country owns it, and you're just the person who runs it.
And that's what I call communism, my friends.
That's communism.
Yeah.
So here
I had this funny thought.
We get capitalism here. There they don't. But go ahead. They get.
I had this weird thought. I was like, oh, like I don't know. I had been taught in class a few years back. I was like, yeah, China is making big strides in getting closer to capitalism, and I think it's true. But this incident really just shows you how
politics and power run
this takes
into
a
money.
huge, yeah, and this takes a huge step back. You know, all that time. Sorry, all the steps they took in the right direction. I feel like this is a big step back, you know?
Wait, what steps did you think they took in the right direction? Because I really haven't been watching way too much of them, unless it's the Olympics.
Yeah, they're not North Korea, is what I'm saying.
Well, I get what you. Okay, but they're not Russia either.
And they're not Russia.
And Russia does some pretty good stuff. People really don't look into.
Oh, you're saying Russia's ahead of them?
And I can't say that too much, but from the research I've looked at, I need more before I can make an actual.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. I don't want to.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is I can say this with confidence that they're not North Korea, and North Korea is
definitely not
communist. You know what I mean?
No, they're totalitarian. They're not.
Yeah,
communist.
they're militant, so they're Yeah, he's right. Totalitarian. Communist is kind of
wait, because I need to be educated on this. I didn't do any research.
No, it's okay.
You're telling me that North Korea
is
not considered communist?
They're totalitarian, which is they're ran by their military official, which is who they have in place now. So who their highest ranking, their dictator, which is a dictator rule.
So. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So they've never been considered communist.
No, they're not.
No.
Because it's a different type of rule. One's with the iron fist.
They don't really participate in the global market. So
I know. Yeah, I figured it was just like ultimate communism. So it's
It's where
so you say it one more time.
From.
Totalitarianism. What is it?
Totalitarianism.
Totalitarianism.
Yeah.
Totalitarianism.
I said it wrong too. So it's okay.
You know what? I'm gonna look that up. I'm gonna be able to pronounce it next show. I promise
Totalitarianism. Yeah, totalitarianism.
So, you learn something every day. You learn something new every day. I feel that's a stupid. Anyway,
it's different. But they all come from the thinking of kingdoms or pharaohs or things of that nature of having a monarch system, which is
a king.
But it's different because it's ultimate rule.
All out rule.
Yeah, we have an ultimate rule, but one is based solely in military strength, which is an iron fist style, or the other one which is built around What would you say communism is mostly built around? It has a certain
It.
light.
They say it's built on equality, everyone being
Yeah,
equal.
there you go. It's built
No
off
one,
equality.
no
So-
one having any more wealth than the other person.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is not the case
a
because
nightmare.
Ye-
No matter how hard you work, you will always be the same as your lazy neighbor.
which makes it has a certain good ring to it when you think about it because it's like
Yeah, I mean,
everyone's
yeah.
worth is no one can. There's no longer a classism between the common people. So the common people don't have a classism. It's not like, oh, I've been at my job for 17 years and I do construction while you've been at your job for 2 years and you do business. If we're all getting paid the same, it's different. But business has the opportunity to go further. You may not get paid more in that country, but you don't only have to do business in that country. You get it?
Right.
So-
Right. I don't want to. Yeah, and I agree. I don't want to sound like I'm like for communism or anything, but I think the thought of communism is a lot worse than the than living in actual communism.
It's a great philosophy. Like I give it that. It just we found its holes with the places that chose to do it as a governmental style of.
And yeah, and people like being rich. Like
Oh yeah. Like
You know. That's a very important thing.
that's the thing that I do love about America, though, that we have the opportunity of capitalism, but we can be compassionate capitalists. So
It's
you can
the land of opportunity, but it's also the land of a whole bunch of other shit that we'll get into later.
Yeah, and it's based on class.
Right.
A lot of it's based on class.
And a lot of that can also be aspired or pulled from. Damn, I really lost my train of thought. But I wanted to say classism. Yeah, I lost my train of thought. Let me stop there. Go ahead.
Well, let's move on to some more fun stuff.
Yeah,
And-
let's
Let's go to the scandal. Let's go to the scandal.
in the media. Let's go into the media, to the Hollywood stupid media. Let's go into all the stupid stuff.
That's a
Let's
good.
forget all this good news and go into the trash. Let's go into the dumpster.
What good news? That's just depressing.
This is a good. Look, this is a good story right
No,
here.
I mean the good. No, I don't mean good. Like isn't like happy. I just mean like the stuff that actually affects
The
world.
news and the news of the world.
The news of the world.
Okay,
Things
yeah,
that actually
let's just
affect
jump into something.
All right,
Yeah.
scandals.
scandals.
Oh,
YouTuber, yeah, who's
Arnett. That's Arnett.
all right. Sorry. YouTuber Shane Dawson plays with himself on cam for a bit on his show to pick up 11-year-old Willow Smith. So Sean Dawson,
No, not to pick
Place-
her up. Not to pick her up.
no,
You just do a picture.
yeah, to a picture. Yeah, I'm sorry. So
Yeah.
YouTuber Sean Dawson plays with himself for a bit, and it was a picture of Willow Smith. He was touching himself too. So, and she was 11.
Yeah.
It was a picture of her when she was 11. What's your thoughts?
So Jaden
This is
Smith's
a sick
response
fucking
was
world,
pretty much,
dude.
yeah. Jaden Smith, and Jada Pinkett Smith's response is pretty much my response, and it's disgusting. I don't understand how that's funny.
How it's seen as a joke? Yeah, that is very, very. That's not even edgy anymore. I feel like that's just kind of crossing the line.
That's just weird. You guys, if you haven't seen the video, it's kind of hard to find. Go see the video. When I heard of the story, I
Right.
thought it was a lot different than when I saw the video.
Yeah, I just think it's just.
Because I was like, comedians are comedians. They do things that are edgy.
Yeah, but we know when stuff is just is not
No,
tasteful.
that
That's just
crossed
not
the fucking
tasteful.
line. You don't. No, that just crossed the fucking line. It's an 11-year-old. You're touching yourself to you're sexualizing a young black woman who at the time was 11 years old. Like that's no excuse. Like honestly, I think he should just get locked up for that.
Really?
I
Or
mean,
at
he
least
didn't
like
do
put on
anything.
probation.
I mean,
I know it was meant as a quote unquote joke,
I
But
think that's a
we
bit
can't joke about
much.
some shit like that.
I know what
Wait,
you're
wait,
saying,
wait,
Desmond.
wait. Hold on. So
I understand where you're coming from, but I don't think he's actually a pedophile. I don't think he's actually.
It's pedophile behavior, though.
But he did it
We
on
can't
camera. It's
excuse
not like
that.
he was
It's
actually
pedophile
doing it.
behavior.
you're saying we can't excuse it. I get
But
what
he
you're saying,
wasn't-
but it's
Wait.
it's the punishment you're asking for. Do you feel it's justified and why?
I mean, I wouldn't say jail time. I'd just say probation or something.
Yeah, but why?
But
is
let's
it,
think
why is
about
it
this for a minute.
justified? Why are you justifying it? What's your justification? Because I wanna really understand why you
Okay,
feel that
hold on.
way.
I wouldn't. That was just my reaction.
Okay.
I know
That was his
I-
initial
I-
reaction.
it was just
I've
my
calmed
initial-
down now.
Yeah, but I mean, just like it's sick. Like it's just like, come on, like with all this shit going on in the world, as far as like, the stuff that's going on with black people, and
Well, no, it wasn't recent.
I
It
know.
wasn't recent.
I know it wasn't recent, but I'm just saying
The reason
like,
it resurfaced was because of everything going on. But he did it years ago.
Okay, then
That-
that, but still, it
that-
resurfaced in a time where black people are put under a where racism and everything is put under a magnifying glass.
Okay.
You know,
I mean-
you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
yeah.
but that's on the basis that he did it recently, and he hasn't done it recently. He didn't do anything like that recently.
How
we
old
talk
was
about,
he when
like-
he did it though?
I always have this thing. I don't know. He was not anywhere near 11. He was like 18.
Hey,
He's like,
yeah.
no, he might have been like 20. He might have been like 25, 30. I don't know how old Shane Dawson is now. I think he's in his mid 30s, and I don't even know how long ago that was. It just kind of resurfaced like everything does. So I've had a problem with comedians' faults, bits coming back from long ago.
Okay.
Because I've had a problem with it for a while. Not in this instance, I'm like, okay, that's gross, that's weird. But I've had a problem with it for a while with the Kevin Hart thing. And they've been doing it for a while where they kind of bring back people's past.
Yeah.
And the past is the past, and comedians are supposed to be edgy. You know what I mean? They dance on subjects that are taboo or that are seen as what do you call it?
Unsavory or
Or controversial.
controversial.
So,
yeah.
but I think, and the thing is, they voice their opinions, right? They say the things that are on their minds at the time. If we go back to our mindset in 8th grade or in 7th or 8th in high school, right? We have all evolved. We have all learned. We have all educated ourselves, and we are now the people we are today. So if the things I said back when I was in high school were to be brought back now, it would be very embarrassing. And the fact of the matter is, I'm just not that person anymore. You know what I mean?
Right.
Okay.
But going back to Shane Dawson, this particular situation was a bit extreme and it was a bit weird. So I don't think this actually falls under that category. But I just wanted to say that.
Okay. Yeah. No.
So.
I was actually going to pull into the same thing you were talking about. I think it's very distasteful what the guy has done, though. So I understand edgy,
Very distasteful.
risky, very sketch type comedy. Hell, I grew up watching mostly just comedy. Basically, that was my whole thing I watched as a kid. That was all I liked was stand-up, was anything that was funny. So that was a real big thing. And I know that they really fight for the fact that they can say what they want. And I understand when something is they were trying to be funny and it wasn't, and then something that was just like, this is kind of running into a realm where it's not okay. And
Right.
I think this particular one is one of those things because you can make a tasteful joke about a young woman in a certain way that could be classified as edgy but funny. This one, it didn't
Right.
it didn't give me any of those vibes. Like the whole concept of it, him trying to touch himself with 11-year-old picture. That right there, like I can't find the funny in that when you're doing a physical comedy like that. Now, if you're trying to say something
Yeah.
verbal and you make it kind of funny, like how one of these comedians like Earthquake does. Earthquake will have a joke about his daughter's friends who will come over and she looks very good, and he's talking to his wife saying that, hey, it's like your tab is starting to get big. All they need is some Six Flags tickets, and you would need something like this, like something bigger. But you can see the joke is more on like the girl looks good, but you are being. It's more
I
predicated
think we should
in
stay.
a certain way.
Oh wait,
It's edgy.
I think we should generally, as grown men, stay away from talking about young girls.
But the thing is,
that's just a basic. Like,
I think that's a basic thing. Even as comedians,
I do agree with Arnett's point that comedians are supposed to be edgy, and that's what makes them comedians. Like they go places we don't really want to go, and they make a joke out of that.
exactly. So it was.
I think hold on. I think it's very critical, however, to hold people accountable when they do it. Yes, jokes were made in the past. Like I get the Kevin Hart thing. It was statements were said in the past, jokes were made in the past. That's the past. Like I don't think people should take away their opportunity to host the Oscars from it.
Yeah. But
because they don't apologize.
So,
I don't understand
the
that.
cancel
like,
culture,
I'm not
yeah.
going to apologize. That's how I made my money. That's how I got to the point where I am today.
yeah, the whole cancel culture thing is pretty crazy too. Especially like now that we pick up the Kevin Hart thing. The Kevin Hart thing to me wasn't really that big because I used to watch his stand-ups like way back then. So when I watched the stand-up and I saw it back then,
You're saying stuff like that all the time.
yeah, it wasn't that edgy to me. It was just funny because
No.
I knew where it was coming from. I obviously knew he didn't have a problem with gay people, and the joke didn't even really seem
He might have.
homophobic to the
He
extent
might have
that
had
they
it.
were
He
saying.
might, dude. My thing is, he might have had a problem with gay people.
But
You know, that's maybe not now, but back in the day,
no, what
you
I'm
grow
saying
up in
is,
certain situations.
if you look at
and
Scary
you learn
Movie,
certain things.
no, if you look at Scary Movie 4, if you watch him in Scary Movie 4, you saw that he was very comfortable with having a sexuality that happened to be on a spectrum in that movie. Because him and Anthony Anderson was having some
Yeah,
very
he
funny
didn't pay
parts.
for it.
So, he's like,
That
hey,
was-
let me
that
get
was
some
fun.
nuts. Like, the whole scene where they was in the tent, like, so, I'm
Hey.
saying is,
Hey, hey, you'd be pretty surprised at some of the things I'd do if I was getting paid for it too. Okay.
But what I'm saying is,
So-
I know that like the certain feeling I knew listening to Kevin Hart, I never felt like he wasn't coming from a place where he was just trying to be funny. It was always a place of innocence. He's always just trying to have the creative power to be able to say things and not try to harm people. That's why his categories are usually like relationships, kids, things of that nature that everyone experiences. So he doesn't try to leave anybody out, which is actually growing him more success. So, but that's been his style and layout since he started comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a good place to end that segment on.
Okay. All right. So we're moving on to sports.
No, I wanted to talk about
Oh, okay.
Kanye for president.
Jesus fucking
God.
Christ. All right,
See,
let's
now
talk about it.
here's
Let's
my
talk
thing,
about
right?
it.
I don't
Shit.
get it
Here's my-
because he supported Trump in the beginning, and now he's running. Is he running against him, or what is he running as?
A snake?
He's not
A
running. Let's be honest.
Snake?
He's not running. I don't think he's running. So, but I think it's a funny thing to think about Kanye being president again. Especially after I feel like he'd be a better president than the one we just had. Honestly.
Why is everybody counting out Joe
In a weird
Biden?
way.
Why is everybody counting him out? I know he's no Bernie Sanders, or Andrew Yang.
No,
but
not Joe Biden. I said
I
he'd be
know
no. He'd be a better president than Donald Trump. Are you talking about? Wait, Arnett. Are you saying?
I'm talking about
Can you repeat what you said?
I said Joe Biden. I'm saying what's wrong with Joe Biden because he's also running for president right now. So I was like, I know he's no Andrew Yang or no Bernie Sanders, but hey,
Don't get me started with him.
I mean, So, going back to Kanye, because I'm not going to talk about. It would just be interesting. Anyway, we could skip over that. That's not really that important because he's not going to be president, and I think we're a better country for that. Sports.
That was really quick. We all voiced our opinions.
I just wanted
that. Yeah, no, I'm
I just wanted to dive into that real quick.
Yeah.
Dive in.
Kanye running for president. No. Okay, got it. Great. On to the next topic.
Exactly.
All right.
Just
so
had to
sports.
bring it
So
up.
sports. In other news, the NBA is back on July 30th, right?
Yup.
And it'll be in Orlando, Florida.
Yup.
So this was what
Wait, at Disney?
I mean. I feel like they messed up
At Disney World?
No, in Disney World. Yeah.
Damn.
I heard is it in Disney World? I don't know. It's
Near. Just say near the location of Disney World.
It's near Disney World.
There will be 22 teams. The teams that basically performed the best this past NBA season.
Up until the
whole coronavirus outbreak. But
we know. I just want to let the viewers know we know this is old news, but
Yeah.
we have not been on, so we're just presenting it because we want to.
we're catching you guys up because we've been. I mean, you're
You guys don't have to
we're
explain to
catching
them.
ourselves up.
We're catching ourselves up.
We're catching ourselves up.
Yeah.
But there will be 22 teams, and I think 5% of the players have COVID.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
wow.
tested
And
for COVID.
I understand that 3 people from the Sacramento, players
Buddy
from
Hill.
the Kings actually have it.
Yeah, Buddy Hield.
Buddy
Yeah,
Hield, Alex Lynn, and Jabari Parker.
God, bro.
Yeah.
No wonder why everybody's counting us out, bro. They were saying it's between
I'm like,
us.
Come on.
It's between us, Portland, the Pelicans, and what's the fourth team? Portland. Yeah.
The Jazz have it. 2 players,
No.
Rudy Gobert
Oh,
and
damn.
the other one, right?
Man,
Donovan Mitchell.
but I mean,
Donovan Mitchell, yeah.
yeah,
But didn't
Donovan
they get
Mitchell
over it?
had it. I think he's over it.
Yeah.
He had it way in the beginning.
yeah.
But the fact that 16, I'm surprised it's so low. Only 16 of 302 players. That's low.
Yeah, that is
To me.
low.
But that's about
You
the
know,
numbers
like,
that we're seeing right now in the world. Like, what is it? Like 1 million people passed away, but there's over 6 billion people in America. I mean, in the world, or some shit like that.
No. We're at
7 billion people.
We're at 500,000.
No.
We're at 500,000 worldwide.
Oh, worldwide. That's it. I mean, that's a
Right.
lot
Yeah,
of
we're
people,
only-
but I mean, that's not a lot when you're talking about the scheme of the world.
No, yeah.
You're right. No, it's not. Yeah. No. So I'm just surprised about that percentage. And the fact that 3 of those 3 of those players of the 16 are Kings players
Which sucks.
is
Sucks for you guys.
yeah. So,
It sucks that we
it
made the
is what it is.
playoffs.
Hey, you know what sucks for you,
What
Desmond, is that your
playoffs?
team is not going
What
to be there.
playoffs? Okay,
Maybe.
but we're rebuilding. We're not rebuilding.
Yeah.
You guys didn't make it past
We're
the
about to
first
take
cut.
The NBA by storm.
You guys didn't make it
Again.
past the first cut. Must suck.
Okay, don't get too excited. You probably won't win another championship.
This is the only
for
year we
next
get
10,
to
15
be up like
years.
this.
So,
Are you talking about? Wait. Are you talking about the Kings, Desmond?
Yes, I'm talking about the Kings.
You said we're gonna win a championship in the next few years.
Okay, all
I
right.
said
Slow
next
down
15.
there, buddy.
I'll give you 10 years.
Oh, give us 5. Give us 3.
I'll give you 10.
Jesus
3.
Christ,
If,
stop.
Alright,
you can
we're
do it
putting
with, if you can.
Look, I'm a
okay,
Kings fan,
I'll
but I'm
give you
not
5.
delusional.
I'll change it. I'll give you 5.
Look, I'm a Kings
give
fan,
you
but I'm
5.
not delusional.
That's fair.
Give me 25 years.
You
We'll
said
see
I'm
what I can do.
Did you say 25 years?
Bro, the Kings haven't won
Arnett,
a
bro, like-
championship for over 40 years.
Bro, we have one of the best lineups in the NBA
We
right now.
have
Young
not
players.
won a championship in over 40 years.
But we're close. We
been
just need a
close.
little bit more experience
We've been close
with
15
our
years ago.
players. But we rebuilt. And now we have a very solid team that
That's sick.
just needs some experience. That's it.
That's sick.
That's where we're at.
Hey, if y'all
And-
can keep a coach or y'all can keep a front office for more than
Agreed.
2-3 years,
Agreed.
y'all be
Agreed.
good.
But I think we're in a solid position right now, and I think they're going to come out. I think the Kings have been underestimated throughout this whole situation. No one's mentioning the Kings at all, right? Even though by the end of this season,
no one's mentioning the Detroit Pistons. No one's mentioning.
That's 'cause they suck.
The Memphis Grizzlies.
Because they're terrible.
Oh yeah,
That's
the other team. It was the Grizzlies.
Ja Morant, but that's about
that
it.
was the other. That was the
That's
other
it.
team. It was
the Kings.
the Grizzlies, the Kings, Portland, and Pelicans are the ones at the bottom of the Western Conference that's fighting to be in the playoffs.
That are in. But I think the Kings, we were
7-3
they
the
caught
past
fire
the last
by
10
the
games
end.
of the season, but we were going to have a rough end of the year because we were going to have a harder record than the teams that were like tied with us or close to us.
Right.
So it was a chance that
Well,
we were going to make it.
here's another thing though. Here's another thing. Another topic. Speaking of NBA, J.R. Smith is officially reunited with LeBron in LA.
That's hilarious. That's freaking
What do y'all think
hilarious
about
to
that?
me. That's the funniest thing. That was the funniest thing I heard.
Henny on
I
jug.
think was that this week or last week where that came out. I think it's this week where that came out. That was the funniest thing I heard all week.
I'm thinking it's going to
funniest
be
thing
an
I've heard.
entertaining season.
It's gonna be something.
It's going to be
It's
an
gonna be something.
entertaining season.
It's funny because there's just so many jokes about that. You know,
But
like
I
I've seen jokes
I
about
wouldn't
that.
doubt J.R. Smith because J.R. Smith. Don't get me wrong, he's a great player.
He's a good player. Yeah,
When he's
he
off
was
Henny.
a great player. When he's off Henny. I mean, he's a good player, and he's.
I wouldn't count him out because there's been times where in the finals when he was with LeBron and on the Cavs, where if you leave J.R. Smith open, he's gonna take that shot. He's gonna make you pay for it.
I think just don't have him in the last few seconds of the game. That's it. That's what you got to do as a coach, you know. But I think overall, J.R. Smith is a great addition to that team, you know, overall. And I'm sure LeBron will be happy to have him.
Yeah.
That team is ridiculously OP, you know. They're like the Golden State Warriors last year, so
Yeah. Okay.
it's just plain ridiculous, you know.
And in other news, Cam Newton is officially a Patriot.
That's another thing.
I have my biases about Cam Newton, but I'm willing to put them aside and say
I feel like they're not biases. I feel like they're just utter hate.
I wouldn't say utter hate, but
I feel like you hate the dude.
I met Cam Newton and I was not happy. Let's
I
just
feel
put
like
it
you
that
hate
way.
the dude with a passion. You hate him with a passion.
I don't hate him. I just hope he doesn't get hurt.
Succeed.
Again.
Oh, you hope
No.
he does? Oh, okay.
'Cause,
You don't wish
I mean,
him.
I kind of want to root for him, but at the same time, like my experience with him, it was he was a dick.
Yeah. I mean,
So-
I've seen some videos where I'm like, you know, he's definitely
But
cocky.
I guess you have to be in that league. Like it's a quote unquote man's game. Like you have to be an asshole.
I mean,
So yeah,
you don't have to be, but you know, I don't know. I guess for some people, it fires them up. It helps them stay consistent and stay in it. I
Right,
guess.
right.
I don't know.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm not arguing his contract.
I am arguing the situation.
I'm not arguing his contract.
Richard Sherman posted a tweet, and I'll read it for you guys here. He said, and I quote, "How many former league MVPs?" Okay. Before I read that, can we go over? Did you tell them how
No,
much
I
the
didn't.
contract
It
was?
was 1 point. It was in the 1 million, right?
He's on a
1.75 million.
$1.75 million contract.
Yeah, and chances to make $7 million with all the bonuses and
See,
stuff they
I
put in
didn't
there.
hear any of that.
Yeah,
I
but
only
$7 million
heard
is
Where
still
was
no
that
money.
information? I didn't hear that either.
Yeah, it's on ESPN. You can check it out. Also, they talked about it on the Skip and Shannon show. So
Oh, I saw a lot of
Undisputed,
it.
I love that show.
yeah, just to name my source, that's where I got it from.
So that's 1.75 million. That's a minimum contract, and I'm pretty sure he's getting paid less than like every QB in the league. Almost.
Yeah, he's fairly underpaid, like fairly underpaid.
Yeah, he's underpaid. He's way underpaid.
I mean, given his injury record, yes, I think that the Patriots did a good move doing that, because you don't want to spend upwards of tens of millions of dollars
That's
on
sketchy.
someone who's at risk of getting hurt again.
That's
But-
sketchy.
However,
Hey.
listen. However, I feel like a player of his caliber, of Cam Newton's caliber, deserves more.
Yeah.
At least 5-6 million.
Damn, that's still pretty
At least
low.
20
Like,
million
what I'm
for
saying
me.
is-
Like at least 20.
Okay.
Like
So I see. So the
I-
disparity is 15 million between you two. My thinking is that it's definitely not enough, since the quarterbacks that are in the league and how much better Cam Newton is than most of these. Mind you, I would definitely take into effect the thinking of Cam Newton, how often he gets injured. So,
but I think he only had 2 injuries, right?
but it's like
And
how it came.
got surgery
It
on
was-
those 2.
It was because
Wait,
what type of quarterback
were
he
back
is.
to back, basically.
hey, can I read the tweet really quickly before we get
Go
more?
ahead.
Into this? So, Richard Sherman. It was funny because I was reading about the news, and there, everyone was tweeting, good for you, great job. I go to Richard Sherman's. I'm expecting a great job, and basically his tweet said this: how many former league MVPs have had to sign for the minimum? A transcendent talent and less talented QBs are getting 15 to 16 million a year. Disgusting. So that's what Richard Sherman had to say, and I didn't.
But I don't think it's disgusting. I think it's playing it safe.
It's not playing it safe though.
I mean, look at Antonio Brown. Look at someone of his caliber.
My
as
question.
a receiver.
My question is.
yet.
My question is, why did nobody pick him up? Why did nobody, call him? You know what I mean?
Because
Maybe because they saw something that they didn't like. Like it was a bit. Kaepernick has yet to been picked up.
here's
But
the
we
thing.
know why
I don't wanna
Kaepernick
hear
hasn't
it.
been
I don't
picked
want to
up.
hear it as far as no one wanted to pick him up.
But we know why Kaepernick got blackballed. He got blackballed out of the league. That
Yeah,
was,
okay, yeah.
But Cam Newton, I don't understand how off of one. I don't really know the whole story. I know that he was out last season, right? But how often was he out before?
2015, between 2015 till 2020, I think he was injured two times. Desmond, 2.
Yeah, I want to say 2.
And isn't
I
that
have to look it up, but I want to say 2.
my research tells
And
me?
they were lengthy injuries.
Here's
Like,
the
they were
thing.
serious injuries.
Here's
One
the
was
thing
half a year,
my
yeah.
research also tells me. Here's another thing my research
One
tells
was
me.
his shoulder. I know that.
But hold on, guys. Here's another thing that the research tells me, because I'm not a football fan. I've only read up on this stuff. Cam Newton's workload on the Carolina Panthers was ridiculous. He had no receivers. He was running way too often. That would definitely have an
You
effect.
can blame the whole line for that.
Yeah, that definitely has an effect on your body, right? So him going into a better situation in New England or anywhere else where they have receivers and the workload is kind of off his shoulders, I feel like more coaches would have called him. That's all. I just don't understand. I feel like they would have seen that as a football.
More or less. I think it's more. So I think it's more of like, okay, how much am I going to get back for the product that I'm paying into? Is it really worth it? I can get a fresh rookie, because you got to remember, there's so many things they can do. We could just pull somebody off the bench instead, because he's already more equipped with our program. Even though we might want someone more like a Cam Newton, we're just going to have to suffer through this year and build up. Or we can get Cam Newton hopefully for a steal, or we can get someone like a RG3, which is fucking trash. But someone who's a beat down version of Cam Newton, like, we can do stuff like that. But maybe we can go for an older quarterback like Phillip Rivers just so we can have this year through, but we don't want to pay that much of a salary cap. So what can we do? And then a lot of teams are just like this way, that way, this way. For instance, we could have got Cam Newton with the Cowboys instead of Andy Dalton. But Andy Dalton is supposed to be like a reliable quarterback who can play first string. That was just basically a leverage point for Dak Prescott. But to talk back to Cam Newton could have played on multiple teams. But the thing is, could he be able to sustain playing at a high risk
with
level
all that
for a long period of time?
I'm looking at it.
So
I don't care. Like I could give honestly, I could care less about Cam Newton.
I told you,
do
it's
care
loathing.
that
It's
he-
not bias. You hate the dude.
Hold on. I am happy that he did get signed because there's still that element of a black quarterback. Where you have on the other hand, where you have on the other hand, Patrick Mahomes, who just recently, as of today, I think today or yesterday, signed a $503 million contract for 10 years. And that hasn't been done since Michael Vick.
Okay, so you're saying it has not. Okay, you're saying because of that, you don't think this situation has anything
Like
to do.
I'm happy to see that Cam is finally on a team. Do I like him? No, but I'm happy to see he's on a team.
That's fair.
Hell, Cam Newton could have played for the.
He's gonna be there for a long time.
Yeah, and congratulations to Patrick Mahomes because that's a heck of a deal.
Yes.
And he deserves it because the dude.
Although
is
I don't
freaking
like
beast.
him because of what he did to us in the Super Bowl, but we're not gonna talk about that.
Wait, I was just thinking about. Well, I was just thinking about Cam Newton
Super Bowl
over. Damn. I lost it, but there was a team I thought he could go to. It was a good team too. Who has kind of like a weak quarterback core? Damn, I can't think of him.
Ooh, Cam Newton?
Yeah, I was thinking like, where could he go? Like
he can go to all sorts of teams. I feel like he would do. I feel like he'd fit in either in Buffalo or in Jacksonville.
I think they could make him a Charger, and if Phillip Rivers decided to leave this year.
I heard a lot
Rivers
about San Diego. Like, wait, are they San Diego?
Didn't
The
Phillip
San Diego
Rivers leave?
San Diego
Chargers. I
Chargers,
think he
okay.
did. Yeah, I think this was his last year. The year that just passed was his last year. But I think that would be not too bad. Like, it would be an interesting look there because it'd make them more dynamic, and they're already a pretty good team.
I have a question really quick. Where were the
Yeah.
Chargers from originally?
The Chargers.
San Diego.
Yeah, San Diego.
Where are they now?
San Diego.
L.A.
L.A. Thank you.
Oh,
See,
they're
I
the
knew it
LA
was in San
Chargers?
Diego.
LA.
L.A. Charger. I was like, that doesn't sound right.
They
It doesn't
moved
sound.
like 2-3 years ago.
There it is.
That's so
Okay.
dumb.
L.A. Chargers.
Because they have the LA Rams and the LA Chargers, which is, yeah. LA's done this before.
And then you got the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is pretty cool, actually. I'm not going to lie to you.
It is kind of cool.
It's pretty lit.
I feel it. Oakland. I feel your feels, but the Las Vegas.
We still got the A's.
Raiders.
We still got the A's out here.
Yeah. Out here, you're in Tracy, bro.
Okay. The A's are
Out
still my
here.
favorite baseball team, so they did hella good last year. They literally lost by a game. Like,
Dang.
the last game of the season was the last.
They made it to playoffs, right?
They made it to the game before playoffs. Like, if they'd have won that game, they'd have went to the playoffs.
Oh yeah.
But
Speaking
they
of
did really
baseball,
good last year.
Speaking of baseball, a lot of MLB people are opting out of the season, which is,
I think it's smart.
I don't know if it's smart. I mean,
I'd rather sit on the money because they get paid millions of dollars. Don't get me wrong.
I don't know. I can see it, but at the same time, I'm like, it probably is a good idea. Overall, probably a good idea. Good for them.
I'd rather not risk my health
Sit out
in order to play.
Sit out the season, hang out with your family, take a year off. Because
Yeah.
baseball is such a
You'll
hard
be fine.
sport. Because you
You're
got
gonna
to
keep
run a
getting
lot.
paid. I mean,
You got to condition hard for baseball. Yeah.
you can still play in practice games, not practice games, but yeah, you can just go into like undercover leagues and shit like that. Like my cousins, they play in all different leagues, and they also play college. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
they might end up,
I was
they
joking.
might end up get
I
drafted
was
by
being
like,
sarcastic, but
oh no, that shit happens. Like you can get drafted. And, like,
baseball to me is just not a conditioned sport.
it is like, it's not like
it's a mental game. It's a mental game.
it's yeah. So how they work out is
Yeah.
pretty interesting. So they don't do workouts for. They do leg workouts and they do stuff for like short sprints, but they don't do any long distance running
Of
because
course not.
they're supposed to be built for more like power. So you're supposed to be built heavier up top, and to be able to do that, you have to have a certain breakdown.
Amount of
You
weight.
can't have too much running. You can't do too much running because
Yeah.
then you'll start to lose that weight. Depending on you'll definitely start to lose that weight, and it really depends on your body type.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So our next segment is the black segment.
Okay.
I guess.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Arnett, you start. Right.
We all talking about this one.
You were all talking about this one.
Okay.
That was me. That was my
Yup,
impersonation
yup.
of Desmond.
All right. Let's go.
Sorry.
Black
sorry.
men
It was
show up.
Terrible. Don't.
Can I do
don't
the
quit
black
your
segment,
day
guys?
job.
Can I do the
Oh,
black
that's right.
segment?
You don't have one.
All right. Can I
Hey,
do the black segment?
okay.
Black segment. All right. Awesome. All right. So the black segment. All right. Black men show up with guns in response to white men threatening women and march on Confederate monuments. Stone Mountain.
Black. You gotta say black women. Black women.
Yeah, they were
Okay.
black women.
Threatening black women. And okay, let me start it from the top.
That was
guys.
important, Arnett.
All right, let's start it from the top. I'm just reading the teleprompter here. I'm sorry, guys. That's what I'm reading. Black men show up with guns in response to white men threatening black women and march on Confederate monuments. Old Stone Mountain.
I don't
Alright,
get the.
let's-
I don't get the end of that. March on Confederate mountains.
Monuments.
Monuments?
Yes, monuments.
what is-
Monuments, like they like the statues.
Who?
Yes.
The guys with guns?
Yes.
They protested General E.
It's
Lee
like they're
and a
heroes.
whole bunch of other people.
It's like they're heroes.
Who are we talking about? Are we talking about the group of men who with guns who like were on camera, or are we talking about in general?
Yes, the group of black men protested the fact that there are Confederate statues.
Correct.
Oh,
correct.
okay. Marched as
And
okay.
I'm saying you lost the war. What is there to be proud about? You wanted slavery. What is there to be proud about? Yes, it's history. But what the fuck do you have pride in that? Like, why would you have pride in that?
Trump said.
That's how I feel. Like, you fucking stupid.
Trump.
You lost the war, and yet there's still statues.
Trump says that people who are unhappy with monuments to slave owners. I guess that's not. That's different than Confederate soldiers. You have to learn history.
We already learned history. It was your history. There's not one thing in
And
there,
I-
like, barely about our history.
And I say to Trump that
Like,
he has
don't
to
get me
learn
started with
history.
that shit.
Trump needs to learn history because the history is there and it's obvious. Yeah. So black men showing up with guns in response to white men threatening. There's been a couple videos that came up where you had
Here's the thing, though. Not a single one of them was shot.
yeah, no one was shot. No one was no. So and there's been several videos of white people defending their property with their guns. The thing I don't like about those videos is the way that they point the guns. You have your rights to have your gun, whatever.
That's the only
I don't-
part you don't like?
I don't like the fact that they can have their guns, whatever, but don't point.
No,
them.
I'm not-
You can protect. This is their property.
Yeah,
You can do
you can
whatever
have your
you want
gun.
to protect your
But
property.
I
don't point it
understand
at
that,
people.
but-
Don't point at people like you're going to shoot them.
Yeah.
That's a whole different thing. You know what I mean? And one of the thing on this video that was pretty it was different than the other videos I watched with white people holding their guns. This man who was giving this very passionate speech about things he believed never once pointed the gun at anyone. He had his arm out.
It was always
on the ground.
It was always towards the ground.
He held out his arm, but the gun was always pointed towards the ground. He didn't point it at anyone. There was no threat. You know what I mean? It was always pointed down at the ground. And
well, yeah, he was military. He was ex-military, or he was.
So
Most of them were.
They knew what to do with a gun.
I appreciate.
They were
that.
equipped in the knowledge of knowing what to do. Yeah, I appreciated it too, and that kind of. Oh.
And they have a right. They have a right to have those guns. You know, they have a right.
Are you talking? You're talking about the people who are coming outside and trying to defend their property?
I'm talking about everyone who decides to bring a gun anywhere, wherever, depending on where they are in their state. I'm sure in that state it was legal to have those guns.
Open carry. It's an open carry state.
You know, so they're not breaking laws. They're doing they have a right to do, and that's that. You know.
Yep.
Interesting.
And who else have anything to say about that?
No, I fully support that.
You know?
Yeah.
But you wouldn't catch me. You wouldn't catch me concealed carry. I protect my house to death, but you wouldn't catch me with concealed carry or any kind of carry.
I was gonna bounce over to what the. I guess the people that's in front of their own homes that have the guns and that are pointing, and the people that we see like the couple that was pointing a gun at a black woman and her child.
Right. Oh, you're talking about the woman that hopped out of the car?
Yeah.
I don't like those videos.
You don't.
And I've always. The thing is,
I don't even know about this video.
Yeah.
What is
so
this?
There's a video, and it kind of starts in the middle of the video where a black woman is recording, and the video title is a white woman points a gun at a black woman and her child, and the video starts, and it's just the white woman pointing the gun at the black woman, right? And a lot of people.
Some context. Give it a little context. A little context behind it's a parking lot. It's just a small plaza.
There's a parking lot,
and the husband is
in
the vehicle.
She's standing by her vehicle, right? And I've talked to some people, and they say that a lot of these videos don't have the proper context. You know, how do we know that this black woman didn't threaten this woman before she started recording? You know what I mean? And it's a lot of it's a thing that a lot of people are saying about these videos. They're media food. They're put out there so that they can get a reaction. But for this specific video, I will say this: there are a couple of red flags.
A couple?
There's a couple of red flags. It's in that state you have a right to have a gun. You have a right to point that gun at somebody. And
no,
if you see
that's where it becomes.
Which state? Hold on, which state?
I don't know what state it is. Arnett, do you know what it is?
Okay.
I know that it wasn't illegal for her to do that.
I want to say Oklahoma. I think it was.
Oh,
that's probably a stand your ground state.
Stand your ground, right? Which is a stupid law. Anyway, so this woman is now, like we said, we gave the layout. She's in front of her car, right, with the gun pointed at this woman who has a camera, right? First off, if she's not armed, I don't think it's right to point a gun at her. You can show her your gun. You can say, "Hey, I'm carrying." Back
Wait,
up.
showing
but I don't
your
think,
gun is just as intimidating as pointing your gun. I mean,
no, it's not. No,
like metaphorically, if we're talking about if this was someone in a courthouse state of law, they would look at it. Of course, one is more escalated. No, one's more obviously more escalated, but
right.
The intention.
I don't think you should ever draw your gun on an unarmed person. If that person is unarmed, I think
unless your life is in complete danger, then they're just going.
Here's the thing: unless it was a woman versus a man, you know what I mean? Like that woman But these,
Oh, what you trying to say?
women
Women aren't big enough to. You're trying to say women aren't big enough to inflict pain on a man? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that it's not a fair fight. But if it's two women, I don't understand why she's drawing, her weapon. And there's, I guess, okay, I can't say that, for everything. Some, women are smaller than other women sometimes.
You're starting to sound misogynistic
Whatever.
here, Eric.
I feel like,
Eric, be careful.
it's not
Me too is
misogynistic.
coming your way.
So, another red flag. I'm going to kind of drop that one because as I talk through it, I kind of proved myself wrong there. We don't know what the black woman looked like. She might have been like a 6'4", muscular, ready to.
She was
ready
not.
I don't know.
Not.
Why give that picture?
I'm just saying.
I saw,
what
there
I'm
was a
saying.
peek.
Why portray that
I
picture?
know.
There
I'm
was
sorry.
kind of a glimpse
saying
peek of
is
that
that-
woman, and she looked fairly
What I'm
out of
saying
shape.
is that if you're going to
Throw it
draw your
like that.
gun, the threat has to be very, very imminent. Second red flag is that she's in front of her vehicle, right? If you're in a threatening situation, just getting and nothing was holding your vehicle there, right? There's nobody in the back of her vehicle, no one in the front of her vehicle. Her vehicle was behind her, on. It was actually on, right? And all you have to do is get in the car and drive off.
Well, she wasn't driving. Her husband was. So
Her husband was driving. He was in the
keep it in
car
context.
with the car on. Get in the car and drive off. That's all there
So
is
she
to
was
it.
making a scene for her own pure enjoyment. Is what it sounds like.
I don't know if she was enjoying it, but she was angry.
No, what I'm saying is,
Was this woman a Karen?
We can't call her
I-
a Karen.
Was this a Karen?
We
with a
can't
gun?
call it a Karen. I can't call her a Karen because apparently okay, we'll go into that later because I do want to talk about that. But sticking to this lady.
Well, we don't really have time for that. Like we just gotta.
So we might pick up the Karen thing next week. But going like what were you saying, Arnett, about the woman?
I was saying that the woman is, she's a bit. She didn't seem to. She was making. Oh yeah, she was making something bigger than it needed to be. Is kind of something I was saying. She seemed to be because she had a car that was ready to leave. There was no one back keeping her there.
Right.
So it was like she knew she could have got away if she wanted to. So with that known and with that obviously seen, she was doing this to probably set a precedence.
Pure anger.
So if you see me again, I want to invoke fear in you.
Right.
So you get me? She was trying to invoke fear. That was her whole point of doing that. It may have been subconsciously, but it was definitely her point. Because when you look at if she was in true danger, she was not in true danger. She obviously could leave when she wanted to. There was nobody stopping her from leaving. So the fact that she had all the power in her hands, even though she felt like she was having it looks like somebody was having a meltdown or a short psychotic break.
She was very, very, very emotional.
She was extremely outside of herself, and
Which is another scary thing to be pointing at a gun at somebody in that state.
You could see it in her eyes. You could see that she was willing to be mercifulness. I mean, she was willing to be very brute about what she was trying to do.
Right. And moving on.
Yeah,
I want to talk. We're going to kind of skip over some things here. I just want to leave
that's fine.
the audience. We're going to leave this segment with a key idea, and I want to ask the audience. And I want to ask the audience something. If everyone is biologically, pretty much the same, right? We're all human. If everyone has the same wants, the same needs, same ambitions, right? We all, generally speaking, why is it that black people have seemed to be in this state of poverty for so long. And I just want to leave our audience to think about that. Why? So, moving on to the next topic, we're going to actually go into our next segment. We're going to go into our Vice segment. We're going to make this pretty quick because we're way over. So, basically, Arnett, you are the workout guy of this group. You've been working out consistently since, we've all been locked up in lockdown.
Yeah.
So we just have a few quick questions to ask you, and just for us and the audience, if they're wondering. So let's run through these pretty quickly, Desmond, if he's there. I'll just ask. Okay.
Okay.
First question: what are you using to work out with most of the gyms being closed?
Okay, that's a very good question. I use cables, just normal resistant bands. I use some barbells. I use free weights, which are usually which are kettlebells. And I just do simple exercises every day or every other day. I usually work out maybe 4 times a week.
Hey, wait. How often do you work out?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll work out about 4 times a week.
Okay. Should I feel uncomfortable when I first start working out?
It really depends on what kind of person you are. If you're really motivated by goals and really motivated by seeing results, when you first get started, you shouldn't feel uncomfortable. You should try to test it. You should try to test what your limit is. So, I think there's 2 ways to do this. You can run in and go about it where you're trying to find your limit, or you can go in and try to be able to come in the next day. And the one that I see that works better is the one that you use where you can come in the next day, which means instead of having 2 hours of you lifting the heaviest thing in the gym or the heaviest thing at your house, you go in there and you lift something that's manageable, and you do that at a frequent enough pace to where you can start to find some muscle memory, and you can find some strength in that arm that you didn't have before. Yeah.
So I have this thing where sometimes I work out, I feel really, really sore, or I feel really, really stiff, but then the next morning I don't feel like the soreness I want to feel. So how do you know when you've had a good workout?
Okay, so a good workout usually ends up having that feeling you were talking about. You usually feel like you're overturning. So usually once a week I like to have a day where I burn more than I normally do. So I usually try to push my weights up. I'll try to maybe push in some more workouts that I normally don't, that's on the same muscle group. So if I'm really trying to focus in on that muscle group, I'll really try to have more workouts to do with that, or I'll just up the weight, depending on what type of exercise it is. But yes, you do want to have one day a week where you at least burn out.
Okay, so during quarantine, I become kind of flabby. How long do you think it would take me to get my 6-pack back?
Really depends on how motivated you are. If you're planning to do it just off exercise, I would say that you should probably get a good diet plan in place. You should probably try maybe looking into your diet, see what you can cut out. You might not want too many carbs. You may not want too many calories. You can have plenty of protein. Just have your body's your body weight in protein. So if you weigh something like 160 pounds, you should probably have 160 grams of protein. Since you're trying to thin down, you should probably look to have, like I said, less carbs. Mainly carbs is like the big thing you want to cut out. Okay. And you want to cut down calories to like a slim 2,000, 3,000.
Dang,
so,
that sounds like a lot of work. Is there any way I can like get a 6-pack without doing any of that?
yeah, you can run a whole lot, and you can do just a whole lot of ab exercises, and you can eat whatever way you like. But
All right.
you might catch a couple
Sounds
cramps
good.
on the way because you're not used to that running.
Yeah, I'm just gonna run a lot because I'm not gonna do all the food stuff. Well, this concludes the Inconclusive Show. Thank you for listening. I'm just gonna leave you guys with a question. Comment below what are your thoughts? Should voice actors be allowed to voice animated characters of other ethnic groups? Let us know what you think. Comment. We'll talk about it next show. Thank you for watching.
So.
Have a good night or day.